It's the Flow FM Friday night sports show, and we're heading into New South Wales with the Riverina and Farrer Football League reports. We begin with Riverina and last week's matches. The MCU Goannas 14-10-94, still undefeated at the top of the table. They beat the Griffith Swans 7-7-49 over at the Ex-Services Club. It was a great performance in the first half by the MCU Goannas at 8-6-1-4. Really did the job then, and a good fight back in the second half where the Swans actually added 6 goals 3 to 6 goals 4, so fairly even second half, but the job probably done early. It was Mail with 5 and Keogh and Kendall both kicked a couple for the MCU Goannas, while it was Griffith Swans Delves booted 3 in the match, so it wasn't too bad a performance by him. In other matches, very must win for the Coolman Rovers. They got home over Leeton Witten 11-13-79 to 9-8-62. A good performance by Redfern for Coolman. He booted 8 of their 11 goals, and gee, without his performance, I don't know how they would have got over the line, even amongst the lowly Leeton Witten Crows, who were right in this, just a goal behind at three-quarter time, and the game wasn't done till late, so that's a great effort from the lowly Crows. Darley was one of their goal kickers, but Gray, Burke and Dryburr were also good players with Darley in the match. And looking at other matches, Turvey Park 20 goals 10, beating the Naranda Eagles 10-7. The Eagles played a good first half here. They just hung on in that period of time, 10-5 to 9-2, but they didn't have the class to go with Turvey Park, and Turvey Park kicked 10 goals to 1 in the second half to shore up the win. Durnham 4 and Toohey 3, Bungie 2 for the Eagles. Durnham, Mackay, Metcalf the better players for them. Fellows 4 for Turvey Park, and Ness was the better player on the day. As we take a look at the other matches in the competition, and the final game was between the GGGM Lions and Collingully, and the Lions 14-16 to beat Collingully 9-8. It was the Sunday game, a big match at Ganmain, won comfortably in the last quarter, but gee, at three-quarter time it was nervous people in Lions outfits, because the Collingully boys had played some really good football up until then. It was 7-11 to 7-6 at three-quarter time, but in the end, the Lions have got that class to get over the line with Watts 5 goals. Foley and Neville both booted 2. Hamblin, Walsh and Olsen were the better players for the Lions. E. Perryman 3 and Rogers a couple for the Demons. And Gunning and Kennedy played well for the Collingully Demons, but they just were off the pace in that last quarter, which in the end was the difference for the two sides. It was a bye round for the Wagga Tigers for the weekend. As we take a look at this week's games of football round 13, Collingully at home against Narandera. They'll come down to the crossroads, the Eagle folk, that 45-minute drive, but I'll tell you what, when they get to the crossroads, they will have met the crossroad, because Collingully will beat them and will win well to keep that finals hope alive for them. The Leeton Witten Crows will welcome the GGGM Lions over at the Leeton Showground. The Lions will welcome another win. I reckon the Crows, they were okay last week, but at home they'll be better. But gee, I think the Lions still have got a lot to play for, including the top 2 place. Wagga Tigers should beat the Griffith Swans at Robertson Oval, and the MCU Goannas on Sunday in the match of the round against the Coolman Rovers. And at Mangapla, I reckon that this is going to go the way of the MCU Goannas. They just, to me, will have too much talent and still remain undefeated. It is the game, though, where you're just looking at Coolman and saying, you've got to put something up somewhere soon where you get a win in a game like this. Otherwise, they could drop out of the finals series, and that's not what the Rovers were looking at when they were going real well early in the season. Having a look now at Farrer football, and last week at round 13, it was the Northern Jets 22-14 over the Charles Sturt Uni, 4 goals 12. What a massacre. The Northern Jets at Ardlethan were really powerful. Hadrill 6, Coate 5, Bell and Kimball both 3. Hadrill, Coate, Gaynor and Bell the better players, and they are certainly looking like they want to push now for a finals position. They could well be putting pressure on the Rocky Erin Creek. They had a win over Barrellan 14-14-98 to 10-9-69. It wasn't convincing at half time for the Rocky Erin Creek, but in the second half they got the job done against a pretty good 2 Blues. In the end, Williams 4 and Bierman 3, the usual suspects for the Rocky Erin Creek, and Stevenson, Bierman, Walter, Ridley, Rudd were the better players for the Magpies. Wells and McDermott 2 apiece, and Foley the better player for Barrellan on the day. Having a look now at the next match that was played, and it was Coleambally taking on Temora, and I picked the Coleambally Blues, but Temora have had a big upset here, 15-9-99 to Coleambally, who kicked 11-5-71. Hodge booted 8 for Coleambally. He did his part, just couldn't get enough support. Maybe Steele and Maida tried hard. Reed 3, Reinfeld and Morton and Moy also all booted 3. Too many goal-kicking options, which hasn't been the case for Temora this year, but they were able to win over Coleambally in this match. Mara Bombers had a good win over the North Wagga Saints, which was the two topper sides, or at least the upper level sides in the comp. Mara 10-8 to Wagga Saints 5-6, and Lawton 4 having a good season for Mara, and Clark played well for the North Wagga Saints. It brings us to this week's games of footy, and it is a very important set of rounds for round 14 games. East Wagga Karingal, after a bye last weekend, get Coleambally, should win. North Wagga Saints play the Brill and 2 Blues. The Saints at McPherson Oval will be too good. Temora, the Giant Killers of last week at home at Nixon Park, but the Mara Bombers will come up to Temora and win the match. And Sunday's game at the Rock will be an important one for the Magpies. They take on the Northern Jets. This is absolutely down to it for 4th place on the ladder. The Northern Jets can get an away win, then they are really primed. And I've got a feeling on Sunday, and wet conditions across the Riverina right now, might just be that Northern Jets get in there and can beat the Rock. It is a really big game of football in Farrer this weekend. That is a look at what's happening here on the Friday Night Sports Show for Farrer and Riverina Footy.